2024 Porsche-Panamera and 2024 Porsche-Cayenne are both high-performance Porsche models, but they are designed for different driving experiences. Here's a quick comparison. Body style: the Panamera is a sportback sedan, offering a blend of sporty handling and luxury comfort. The Cayenne is a mid-size SUV, providing more cargo space and passenger capacity. Performance: both offer Porsche's signature driving dynamics, but the Panamera prioritizes handling with its lower center of gravity. The Cayenne, being an SUV, offers a higher driving position and more capability off-road. Practicality: the Cayenne offers more space for passengers and cargo, making it a good choice for families or those who need to haul gear. The Panamera's sportback design offers some cargo space but prioritizes passenger comfort over cargo capacity. If you prioritize sportiness and a luxurious driving experience, the Panamera might be the better choice. If you need more space and versatility, the Cayenne is the way to go. Ultimately, the best choice for you depends on your individual needs and preferences. You can find more detailed comparisons of the 2024 Porsche Panamera and 2024 Porsche Cayenne online or by visiting your local Porsche dealership. We saved the most fascinating change for last. Porsche Active Ride is a new suspension option for plug-in hybrid Panameras that takes advantage of the e-hybrid's new 400-volt electrical architecture. Two-valve dampers and a single-chamber air spring are employed at each corner, which may sound pretty normal at first. Each damper is connected to an electrically driven hydraulic pump, which can adjust the flow inside the damper up to 13 times per second, changing rebound and compression on the fly, and individually, at that. This system also does away with the front and rear anti-roll bars entirely. Porsche Active Ride is a strange beast to experience. It can raise the entire body by 2.2 inches for more comfortable entry, thrusting itself skyward upon your opening the door, like a race car on air jacks. It can firm up the dampers on one side of the car enough to remain flat under a surprising amount of lateral load, something we experienced firsthand with an emergency lane change test. The Cayenne receives a styling refresh this year, albeit a mild one. Tweaks to the exterior require a keen eye, but inside, the Cayenne gets a new dashboard design with more digital real estate, a new steering wheel on loan from the 911 sports car, and a new toggle-type shift lever mounted on the dashboard. Porsche has upped the ante on its performance across the board, too. The base model gets 13 more horsepower than before, while the e-hybrid gains 9 horsepower. The S-Trim gets the biggest boost, as it drops its twin-turbo 2.9-liter V6 for a 468 horsepower twin-turbo 4.0-liter V8. The wildest part by far is what Porsche calls acceleration and braking comfort. The suspension will counteract the physical forces of acceleration and deceleration by raising or lowering the front or rear ends to suit. Under medium braking, the nose rises and the tail squats, and it feels like you're sliding into home plate. Smash the gas and the nose pitches down. It runs counter to every neuron in your brain, but the result is surprisingly comfortable. The stuff that Porsche Active Ride can do both looks and feels like witchcraft, but it's all for comfort. The system's full capability can only be unlocked in hybrid auto mode. Moving to Sport Plus 4, say, track activity, disables most of those interesting features. And that makes sense, since you actually want to feel what the car is doing and how it's reacting to your inputs. Porsche will let you spec the Cayenne in several ways, starting with a turbocharged 3.0-liter V6 that makes 348 horsepower. The plug-in hybrid, called the e-hybrid, marries an electric motor and a turbocharged V6 for a combined 463 horsepower. The Cayenne S boasts a 468 horsepower twin-turbo V8 with a great-sounding exhaust note and breathtaking acceleration. There's also an SE hybrid, which uses a turbocharged 3.0-liter V6 and an electric motor for 512 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque. We expect a range-topping GTS trim with even more power, but Porsche hasn't confirmed that model just yet. All engines pair with an astute 8-speed automatic transmission and all-wheel drive. While making anything that weighs more than 2 tons move gracefully is challenging, the engineers in Stuttgart were successful with the Cayenne. When we were able to sample a Cayenne S and found it just as athletic and refined as last year's model. Adaptive dampers are now standard. Across the Cayenne lineup, and most trims will have additional performance options that include an adjustable air suspension, four-wheel steering for improved maneuverability, and active anti-roll bars for flatter cornering. The only place we got to drive the active ride-equipped Panamera Turbo E-Hybrid was on the track, and our experience of its full breadth took place during the cooldown laps around Circuito Monte Blanco near Seville, Spain. But at full clip, with Sport Plus engaged and all the mechano trickery relegated to the wayside, the Panamera feels as dialed in as ever. This big boy can still dance. As the solid white pit line disappears, a healthy jab of the throttle produces gut-busting thrust. Between the twin-turbo 4.0-liter V8 and the electric motor tucked inside the 8-speed PDK dual-clutch transmission, the Turbo E-Hybrid makes a meaty 671 horsepower and 686 pound-feet of torque, enough to complete the sprint to 60 miles per hour in a manufacturer-estimated 3.0 seconds. The dual-clutch automatic does an impressive job of keeping the V8 in its sweet spot on the track, but immediate bursts of electric motivation act as double insurance, ensuring the car is never caught with its pants down. When it's time to bring everything back down to cornering speeds, the turbo's gigantic 16.5-inch front iron rotors do so in a hurry, and there's no awkward blend between the car's 88.0 kW max regeneration rate and the good old friction-based grabbers. Should you desire EV cosplay, we estimate the battery's 21.8 kWh of usable capacity will carry you about 40 miles. When we tested the base Cayenne with the 348 horsepower turbocharged V6, we recorded a brisk 4.7 second 60 miles per hour time. The Cayenne S and SE hybrid models will no doubt prove quicker, but we haven't had either one on our test track yet. The 2024 E-Hybrid's range should be slightly higher than before, thanks to an enlarged battery pack that boosts estimated usable capacity from 14.3 kWh to 20.6. Last year's model was rated for up to 15 miles of electric driving, so we expect to see a range of around 25 miles. Porsche has also upgraded the E-Hybrid's onboard charger to allow for faster charging times. If Active Ride tried to fight the forces of physics at track pace, it would get weird in a hurry, and Porsche would probably have to supply airline sick bags as standard equipment. Instead, we're subject to the same pitching and leaning that our lizard brains expect, although the suspension does a commendable job of not delivering too much of it. Snappy steering feels like the car can pivot on a whim, but even when our driving line was right on target, the Michelin Pilot Sport 5S summer tires, 275/40 ZR20 front, 315/35 ZR20 rear, supplement their impressive grip with an awful lot of howling. The EPA estimates that the base Cayenne should deliver 17 miles per gallon city and 23 miles per gallon highway, while the S model with the V8 engine is good for 15 miles per gallon city and 21 miles per gallon highway. The E-Hybrid models have not yet been rated by the EPA. When we get a chance, we'll take the new Cayenne on our 75 miles per hour highway fuel economy test route and update this story with results. Porsche said it purposely hadn't swapped out the track tires all week, a torture test, of sorts, so your rubber might be a bit quieter, but rest assured that even after several days of track use, there was still plenty of stick amid the clamor. Porsche also didn't say how much the new Turbo E-Hybrid will cost, but we estimated landing somewhere between a boat and a house, although it depends on the house and the boat. We'd wager on a starting price in the ballpark of $150,000, since an even more powerful, and more expensive, Turbo SE Hybrid is probably in the cards. Inside, the 2024 Cayenne gets a new dashboard design with more screens and a look that's inspired by the Taycan EV sedan. The SUV's steering wheel has been replaced by one borrowed from the 911 sports car, and the gauge cluster is now fully digital. A toggle shifter is mounted on the dashboard, freeing up space on the center console for a storage nook. Porsche essentially provides a blank canvas inside the Cayenne for customers to personalize as they see fit. Everything from the interior trim to the seatbelt colors and the surface materials can be individually selected, almost always with a stiff additional cost. In addition to traditional options, heated and ventilated front and rear seats, for instance, the Cayenne offers desirable upgrades such as more supportive seats, massaging front seats, and 4-zone climate control. Rivals like the Audi Q7 and the Volvo XC90 have 3 rows while the Porsche has only 2, but at least the Cayenne's back seat is adjustable and provides plenty of stretch-out space. The Cayenne entices Porsche enthusiasts with ample passenger capacity and cargo volume, which are far greater than any 911s. There may not be as many whiz-bang gadgets on the base all-wheel drive Panamera 4, but it's still made for an excellent companion on the tight, sinewy roads leading from Seville's city center to the track. Even without rear axle steering at the ready, this Panamera felt smaller than its full-size dimensions would indicate until we hit one of those lane-and-a-half-wide goat paths, at which point we appreciated how easy it was to place the front corners with precision. Those front fender humps work wonders in that regard. However, the standard lane-keeping assist's desire to keep it between the whites will remind you in several annoying ways if you stray from that path. The twin-turbocharged 2.9-liter V6 under the Panamera 4's hood isn't going to beat your inner ear into submission like the turbo's V8, but it's still a perky little thing in its own right. For the new generation, output rises to 348 horsepower and 368 pound-feet of torque, and 60 miles per hour arrives in an estimated 4.5 seconds with launch control. There's a sufficiently meaty torque curve, so even if the 8-speed automatic won't downshift because that lower gear will bring the engine too close to redline, there will still be a good bit of motive force on tap. And as far as V6 engine notes go, this pill is pretty easy to swallow. The Cayenne's driver and front passenger face a wall of digital displays that stretch the entire length of the dashboard. In the center is a 12.3-inch touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto capability. To the right of that is a secondary, and optional, 10.9-inch display for the front passenger, which Porsche says can be used to stream video content because it features a safety mechanism that makes it invisible from the driver's vantage point. There's a separate 12.6-inch screen meant just for the driver, nestled behind the steering wheel and projecting vehicle speed, the tachometer, a trip computer, and other functions. All Panameras now come standard with a 2-valve air springs and 2-valve adaptive dampers, and the resulting ride quality occupies a wider spectrum than before. In its most pliant modes, the Panamera still feels inexorably sporty, feedback will still work its way to your tuchus, but the whole shebang feels a bit more comfortable than before. In sport mode and beyond, there's more than enough stiffness for spirited, but legal, goings. Sadly, tire noise on Seville's roads is also in ample supply. There's a lot more cabin roar than we'd like, and to our ears it sounds like more than you get from your average Lux competitor. The Cayenne is available with a bevy of driver assistance technology to help keep occupants safe. Every model has forward collision warning and parking sensors at both ends. It even supports night vision with an optional infrared camera. For more information about the Cayenne's crash test results, visit the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, and Insurance Institute for Highway Safety.